Shalom, Kal Halayimla, Yahweh, Bahashem, Yahushai, Bahasham, Raha HaKodash. Double honors to my apostles, a great millstone who taught me this truth. And Shalom to the 144,000 in the elect out there. I'm Za'im, and this is another video titled Shiloh. And we're going to start at 1 Samuel chapter 1, verse 1. And this is going to give you further information about the religious center of Shiloh, going further adding onto the lesson that I did on 1 Samuel chapter 1, just to give you a little bit more information on Shiloh. Now we're going to go to 1 Samuel chapter 1, verse 1. Now there was a certain man of Ramah Tha'am Zophim of Mount Ephraim, and his name was Elkanah, the son of Jeroham, the son of Elihu, the son of Tohu, the son of Zuph, an Ephrathite. And he had two wives. The name of the one was Hannah, and the name of the other Peninnah. And Peninnah had children, but Hannah had no children. And this is the point. And this man went up out of his city yearly to worship and to sacrifice unto the Lord of hosts in Shiloh. And the two sons of Eli, Hophni, and Phinehas, the priests of the Lord, were there. Judges 21 and 9. Judges 21, Judges 21, verse 19. Then they said, Behold, there is a feast of the Lord in Shiloh yearly in a place which is on the north side of Bethel, on the east side of the highway that goeth up from Bethel to Shechem, and on the south of Lebanon. Now we're going to go into the Harper's Bible Dictionary and look up Shiloh and see what information it gives us. Let's see. Shiloh, Harper's Bible Dictionary. An ancient religious center of Israel. So this was the religious center of the Israelites that they went to yearly to sacrifice and to worship the Lord Yahweh Hashem Yahshai. Located about 10 miles north of Bethel to the east of Jerusalem, Nablus Road, in Judges 21 and 19. So we read Judges 21 and 19, but we're going to go back and read it again after we look up a little information on Bethel. Let's see. The New International Dictionary of Biblical Archaeology. We're looking up Bethel. Bethel, in the Hebrew, Bayathalah, a city located on the boundary separating Benjamin and Ephraim. Benjamin, the tribe of Benjamin, are the West Indians, and Ephraim is the tribe of the Puerto Ricans. In Joshua 18:21-22, it was allotted to Benjamin, but was lost to the Canaanites in the Judges period. It was subsequently recaptured and resettled by the Ephraimites. Under the Canaanites, the city was dedicated to El, one of the major deities in their pantheon. It was an important site in Old Testament times, being second only to Jerusalem in frequency of mention. Let's see, should we go further? let's go. Let's go a little bit further. In the 19th century, Edward Robinson identified Bethel with Tel Beatin, located on the watershed route 12 miles north of Jerusalem. The site was excavated by Albright and others. The earliest levels, going back to circa 2000 BC, the city was well established in the Middle Bronze Age, circa 1950 through 1550 BC, and during this period, Abram erected an altar to Yahweh by Hashem Yahushai of Bethel in Genesis 12 and 8, returning there to visit Egypt, Genesis 13 and 3. Jacob experienced a theophany at Bethel, which he then named the house of Yahweh, and Bayath Allah means house of Yahweh. Now let's go back to Harper's Bible Dictionary. Shiloh, an ancient religious center of Israel located about 10 miles north of Bethel to the east of the Jerusalem Nablus Road, Judges 21 and 19. And we're going to get Judges 21 and 19 again. Judges 21 and 19 reads, Then they said, Behold, there is a feast of the Lord in Shiloh, yearly in a place which is on the north side of Bethel, on the east side of the highway that goeth up from Bethel to Shechem, and on the south of Lebanon. And we're going to go back to 1 Samuel chapter 1, verse 3. And this man went up out of his city yearly unto the Lord of hosts in Shiloh. Let me see. Let's start from the beginning. First Samuel chapter 1. Now there was a certain man of Ramathaim Zophim of Mount Ephraim, and his name was Elkanah, the son of Jeroham, the son of Elihu, the son of Tohu, the son of Zuph, an Ephrathite. And he had two wives. The name of the one was Hannah, and the name of the other Peninnah. And Peninnah had children, but Hannah had no children. And this is the point. And this man went up out of his city yearly. Elkanah went up out of his city yearly to worship. Elkanah and his family to worship and to sacrifice unto the Lord of hosts in Shiloh. And the two sons of Eli, Hophni and Phinehas, the priests of the Lord, were there. Back in the Harper's Bible Dictionary, Shiloh is identified with modern Shiloh, located about 10 miles north of Bethel to the east of Jerusalem Nablus Road, Judges 21 and 19. It is identified with modern Kirbet Silun. Shiloh was the administrative and religious center for the Israelite tribes during the early settlement period, 12th century BC. There the tabernacle was set up, Joshua 18 and 1. The distribution of the land by lot took place in Joshua 18:19. The Levites were assigned their cities, Judges 21. And the 10 tribes gathered to consider the apostasy of the East Jordan tribes in Joshua 22. Shiloh was the central sanctuary and seat of the priesthood, Eleazar, Joshua 21, 1 and 2. Eli and his sons, which were Hophni and Phinehas, 1 Samuel 1, 3 and 9. 1 Samuel chapter 1, 24 and 3 and 21. until the ark was captured in the battle with the Philistines at Ebenezer. 1 Samuel chapter 4. The ark was not returned to Shiloh, and the city never regained its prestige. Shiloh's destruction by the Philistines is not related in the Old Testament, but Jeremiah cites its fate in his prophecies in Jeremiah 7:12-14 and 26, 6-9. It did continue as a town to some extent, as is shown by the fact that the wife of Jeroboam sought Ahijah the prophet at Shiloh in 1 Kings 14:2-4, and that men of Shiloh came to Mizpah after the murder of Gedaliah in Jeremiah 4:5. Let's read a little bit more. Shiloh has been the scene of several excavations, and there have been scattered publications of the results, but the evidence presented has been insufficient and debatable. The excavations of the Danish under H. Kajar in 1926, 1929, and 1932 were cut short by his death. Only preliminary reports were published. 30 years later, in preparing for the final publication, a short campaign was conducted by S. Holm Nielsen. The publication that resulted advocated different conclusions than the earlier work. In 1981, excavation was resumed by Berlin University under the direction of I. Finkelstein, and excavations have continued at that site. And we know who the Finkelsteins are, the JOOs. Now we're going to go back into the New International Dictionary of Biblical Archaeology, and we're going to look up Shiloh and see if we can get a little bit more information on Shiloh. Shiloh in Hebrew, Shayyalah, is the modern Siloam, a ruined site on a hill some 9 miles north of Bethel. It was excavated by Danish expeditions in 1926, 1929, 1932, and 1963. The first 3 excavations seem to suggest that the occupation was interrupted during the Iron First period and resumed in the Hellenistic to the Byzantine periods. This seemed to give special point to Jeremiah 7:12, since it was believed that Shiloh had been destroyed in a Philistine attack in 1 Samuel chapter 4. About 1050 BC, the 1963 campaign shows occupation during the days of the Hebrew kings, so that Jeremiah's reference to its destruction would seem to be an allusion to events closer to his time, Jeremiah 41:5. There were traces of occupation in the Middle Bronze Age, circa 2000 to 1550 BC, but there was no substantial occupation until the Iron Age age, suggesting that the Israelites built here. Joshua 18:1, 1 Samuel 1:1-4, 1 Kings 14:2-4. Further excavation is necessary to clarify the historical questions. That was a little bit of information, a little more information on Shiloh. Furthering some information on 1 Samuel chapter 1 to give you a little bit more of insight on the religious center of Shiloh. Lord will, you've been edified. Shalom.